Henry pretty much summed up what I was going to say, so I'll keep my remarks fairly brief. It is nice to be back in Charlottesville. I spent 4 very happy years up at Monticello working in the International Centre for Jefferson Studies. And one of the problems about working up at Monticello is that when you have to leave, as I did, it's all downhill from there, inevitably. But I couldn't have chosen, other than Charlottesville, I couldn't have chosen a nicer place to work than Williamsburg, so I count myself quite fortunate. I'm as you may have gathered, a historian of early America, and I've long been fascinated by this story of the lost colony. And I had the pleasure of doing some of my own research on the topic when I was putting together the book on Jamestown. And I guess this was something of an epiphany for me, because I'd kind of assumed that we had the basic theory straight. And just to provide a bit of scaffolding here as to what that basic theory is, as to what happened to the lost colonists, some of you may know, but bear with me just for a moment. The idea is that when John White left Roanoke Island to return to England for reinforcements, the colonists decided to leave, maybe in the winter, maybe in the spring of 1588, and I'll get my pointer going, and headed north to the Chesapeake Bay and settled either here at this location. You probably can't see it, but it says Chesapeake. This is the Lynn Haven, or possibly over here at Skeecoack, which is this is meant to represent the Elizabeth River system. Here's the Powhatan River, James, and here's the Pamunkey River, the York. So this theory was put forward something like 35 years ago by the eminent authority on Roanoke, David Beers Quinn, and has been the established theory, really, ever since. So pick up any textbook, pick up any scholarly account, and you'll probably read that the colonists went north to the Chesapeake Bay. Why? Because when John White's colony left England in May of 1587, that's where they were meant to go. They weren't meant to go to Roanoke, they were meant to go to the Chesapeake Bay. So I think Quinn decided that, quite reasonably I suppose, that having been interrupted in their voyage and landed on Roanoke Island, ultimately that would be their destination, that would be where they would go. So, as I say, I started off with the assumption that must be correct. A theory that's been current for 35 years has got a bit of heft behind it, a bit of freight behind it, and I didn't really think of challenging that theory until I started some of the research of my own. But what I'd like to introduce briefly this afternoon is that just about every part of the established view of Roanoke, of John White's settlement, the lost colony, is incorrect. Bit of an arrogant thing to say, but I'm sticking to it, and I hope that the argument I'm going to outline here and that's fleshed out in the book will persuade you too. So let me start with the first of the premises here. And I've got three main things to run through this afternoon, very briefly. The first will be, why did John White's settlers go to America in the first place? So that's number one. Number two is, can we find out anything more about the English origins of the colonists? And number three will be, what happened to them? Where did they go? They did leave the island, but where did they go? And when I get to that point, I'm going to invite anyone that doesn't want to know the ending to leave the room temporarily, but do come back for John's remarks. I don't often invite my audience to walk out, but I think it's You've been warned. I'm going to tell you what happens here, but there's more about it in the book. The first premise, then. Each of the 118 settlers that signed up for the voyage in 1586, early 1587, was granted a princely sum, 500 acres of land, or proportionally more if they were in families. That's a huge amount of land by English standards. Of course, it would be, as it were, in America, uncultivated. It would have to be hewn out of the land. I won't call it a wilderness. There were plenty of people around, Native Americans around. But it would have to be improved. But nevertheless, 500 acres is a large amount of land. And I think it was that impressed David Quinn, that the purpose of the colony was primarily agricultural, that this would be a farming settlement. It would be a settlement that focused on producing the natural products that the land afforded. Here's an instance, it seems to me, of historians reading history backwards. That ultimately the British Empire in North America was founded on agriculture, either plantation societies and agriculture, the staples of tobacco and in the West Indies sugar, or in New England, of course, various kinds of farming, various kinds of agricultural products. I don't believe that's true of the first phase of English settlement in America. And I'm talking about a first phase that extends from around about the 1580s through to around about 1612. Because what the English were looking for was the kind of success that the Spanish had enjoyed in Middle and South America. Now this map is by Michael Locke, or he's put his name to it, 1582. And what I want to draw your attention to is this strange isthmus here. But it's not the Panama Isthmus. That is this is the Mid-Atlantic region. Here's New England. Here's Florida down here. And here's this kind of bay here. And here's the South Sea coming in from the west. It's not an overly common map, this one. But it is based on an earlier map of 1529 by Giovanni Verrazzano. And this theory that there might be a passage to the South Sea through the landmass in the Mid-Atlantic region had been around for at least half a century before Sir Walter Raleigh sponsored the Roanoke colonies. There is a rather more commonplace map, and it may even be in the collection here by Sebastian Munster, or in Sebastian Munster's book, which again shows this isthmus here. So this is the Mid-Atlantic region. Is there a route through to the South Sea, to the Pacific? That's one thing the English are looking for. They're also looking for the Northwest Passage, by the way, but here's another way through the landmass. The second thing that the English are looking for is gold or silver or copper. And this is a image from Theodore de Bry, America, 1590, Indians panning for gold in the Appalachians. So this is Appalachian Mountains. It's actually, we'll see in a moment, a bit further south from the Chesapeake or Roanoke region, but it's a clear indication of the possibility of gold or silver in the interior. What's worth kind of wondering what this is. Here's mountain streams coming out of this great rock here, and these are gold-bearing, kind of gold dust, and here they are collecting. You can see that down there, but there's the gold dust down there. want you to remember the great rock and the mountain stream.